The glass of water sat perfectly still on the marble table, crystal clear, innocent-looking. But Marcus Cole's heart was pounding so hard he thought it might explode right out of his chest. He had exactly 5 seconds to make a decision that would either save a life or destroy his own. But let me back up, because this story doesn't start in that fancy hotel lobby. It starts 3 months earlier, in a place most people pretend doesn't exist. The underpass smelled like rain and regret. 16-year-old Marcus Cole wrapped his thin jacket tighter against the October wind. His stomach growled for the 3rd time that hour. When was the last time he'd eaten? Yesterday morning. Maybe the day before. Time gets weird when you're surviving instead of living. "Hey, Marcus!" He looked up to see Miss Jenny, an older woman who'd been homeless longer than Marcus had been alive. She was limping toward him, clutching her side. "You okay, Miss Jenny?" "My medication. Something's wrong with it." She held out a pill bottle. "The color looks different. Smells funny, too." Marcus took the bottle and examined it carefully. Most people wouldn't notice anything wrong. But Marcus wasn't most people. See, before his world fell apart, Marcus had spent every weekend at the free clinic with his grandmother. She'd been a nurse for 40 years before she passed, and she'd taught him everything. "Marcus, baby, always check the markings on pills, always smell them. Your nose knows when something's not right." He opened the bottle and immediately jerked his head back. "Miss Jenny, this isn't your medication. I don't know what this is, but it's not what the label says." "But the pharmacy just filled it yesterday." Marcus examined the pills more closely under his small flashlight. Wrong shape, wrong coating, wrong everything. "Don't take these. Something's really wrong here." He spent the next hour walking Miss Jenny to the emergency room, even though it meant missing the soup kitchen's dinner service. The ER doctor confirmed it. The pills were counterfeit, filled with God knows what. If Miss Jenny had taken them, she might have died. "How did you know?" the doctor asked Marcus, looking at this teenage boy in worn-out shoes and a jacket 2 sizes too small. "My grandmother taught me." The doctor studied him for a long moment. "You've got a gift, kid. Don't waste it." But as Marcus walked back to the underpass that night, stomach empty and hope even emptier, he wondered what kind of gift left you sleeping on concrete. That incident with Miss Jenny started something Marcus couldn't stop. Word spread fast in the homeless community. That kid knows about medicine. That kid can help. People started coming to him with questions. Is this infection serious? Does this rash need a doctor? Are these pills supposed to look like this? Marcus couldn't turn them away. Every person who asked for help reminded him of his grandmother, the way she'd never refused anyone, even when she was tired, even when she had nothing left to give. But knowledge without resources is just theory. Marcus started hanging around the public library every day, not just for the warmth, though that was nice. The computers gave him access to medical databases. The books taught him things his grandmother never had time to explain. He'd memorize symptoms, treatments, and drug interactions. Then he'd test himself by diagnosing people's problems before they told him what was wrong. 9 times out of 10, he was right. The librarian, Mr. Peterson, noticed. "You're here every single day reading medical journals. Planning to be a doctor?" Marcus laughed, but it came out bitter. "Yeah, right. Can't even afford to eat most days. Medical school? That's for people with futures." Mr. Peterson didn't push, but he started leaving food by accident near Marcus's usual computer. A sandwich here, an apple there, always with a note. Someone left this. Might as well not waste it. Marcus knew better. But pride doesn't fill your stomach. Here's the thing about being homeless that nobody tells you. You become invisible. People look right through you, like you're a ghost haunting their comfortable world. But Marcus was about to become very, very visible. November 15th started like any other terrible day. Marcus woke up under the bridge, his back aching from the concrete. It was raining. Again. because apparently the universe had a sense of humor. He had $3.47 to his name. Enough for, what? Half a meal? A couple of days of bus fare? He decided to walk to the library instead. Save the money for later. That's when fate, destiny, or just dumb luck stepped in. Marcus was cutting through downtown, taking the back alleys to avoid the morning crowds of people who'd look at him with either pity or disgust. He hated both equally. He was passing behind the Grandview Hotel when he heard voices, angry voices. Now, smart homeless kids mind their business. Getting involved means getting noticed. Getting noticed means trouble. But Marcus had never been smart about walking away. He peeked around the corner and saw something that made his blood run cold. Two men in expensive suits stood in the service entrance. One of them was holding a small bottle, pouring clear liquid into another bottle of water. The same kind of bottled water that the hotel sold in their conference rooms. "Make sure he drinks from this one," the first man said. "The presentation starts at noon. By 12:30, he'll be feeling the first symptoms. By 1 o'clock, he'll be dead." "And it'll look like a heart attack?" "Natural as can be. The old man's got a history. Nobody will question it." Marcus's hands started shaking. They were planning to kill someone. Right there. In broad daylight. The first man laughed. "By the time anyone realizes what happened, we'll have signed the contracts. His company will be ours, and his precious charity programs? Gone. Replaced with something actually profitable." They walked away, leaving the poisoned water bottle on a service cart headed into the hotel. Marcus stood frozen for exactly 10 seconds. His grandmother's voice echoed in his head. "When you know something's wrong, baby, you speak up, even when you're scared, especially when you're scared." But this was different. This wasn't checking someone's medication. This was murder. These were dangerous people with money and power. This was none of his business. The service cart started rolling toward the hotel entrance. Marcus ran after it. The hotel lobby was like walking into a different planet. Marble floors were so shiny that Marcus could see his reflection. Crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than most people's houses. And people. Rich people. Important people. People who belonged. Not people like Marcus in his dirty jacket and shoes held together with duct tape. "Sir, I'm sorry, but you can't be in here." A security guard was already approaching. "Wait, someone's in danger. There's poisoned water. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Marcus tried to push past, but the guard grabbed his arm. "I said leave, now." "You don't understand. Someone's going to die." More security guards appeared. Guests were staring now. Phones were coming out. Someone was probably already calling the police. This was going exactly as badly as Marcus had feared. "Get him out of here," the head of security ordered. Two guards grabbed Marcus's arms, starting to drag him toward the exit. He was struggling, trying to explain, but nobody was listening. Nobody ever listened to homeless kids. That's when he saw him. An older black man in an expensive suit was standing near the conference room entrance. Distinguished, confident, the kind of man who commanded respect just by existing. He was reaching for a bottle of water on a table, the table where the service cart had just delivered fresh bottles. Marcus's medical training kicked in automatically. He scanned the table. 5 bottles, 4 with blue caps, 1 with a slightly different shade of blue. That was it. That was the poisoned one. And the man was reaching for it. "Stop!" Marcus's voice cut through the lobby like a gunshot. "Don't drink that water!" Every head turned. The lobby went silent. Even the guards holding Marcus paused. The older man's hand froze inches from the bottle. Marcus took a deep breath. This was it. He'd either save a life or get arrested. Maybe both. "That water is poisoned. I saw 2 men tampering with it 30 minutes ago. They said someone would be dead by 1 o'clock. You could have heard a pin drop." The head of security stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. Sir, I apologize for this disturbance." "Wait. The older man held up his hand. He was studying Marcus with sharp, intelligent eyes. "What's your name, son?" "Marcus. Marcus Cole." "Marcus, I'm Robert Jameson, and you're saying someone poisoned this water? Why would they do that?" Marcus swallowed hard. They said they wanted your company, that after you were dead, they'd sign contracts and shut down your charity programs." Robert Jameson's face went very still. "How do you know my company has charity programs?" I don't. I'm just telling you what I heard." The security chief interrupted. "Mr. Jameson, this is obviously some kind of scam. The kid probably wants money." "Test the water," Jameson said quietly. "Sir, test it. Now." What happened next changed everything. The hotel manager was called, the police were called, and most importantly, the water bottle was tested. While they waited for results, Marcus stood in a corner of the lobby, still flanked by security guards. People stared, whispered, took photos. He wanted to disappear. Robert Jameson approached him. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" "Yes, sir." "How did you know which bottle was poisoned? They all looked the same." Marcus explained about the caps, the slightly different shade, the way the bottle had been positioned. But more importantly, he explained about the men he'd overheard, their conversation, their plan. "Can you describe them?" Marcus closed his eyes and recalled every detail. Height, weight, clothing. One had a scar above his left eyebrow. The other wore a college ring. Jameson pulled out his phone and showed Marcus some photos. "Are either of these the men?" Marcus's heart stopped. "That's them. Both of them." Jameson's jaw tightened. "That's my head of operations and my chief financial officer. Men I trusted. Men I was about to sign over company control in today's meeting." The police arrived. Then the test results came back. The water was poisoned. A tasteless, odorless toxin that would have caused a massive heart attack within the hour. Untraceable unless you knew exactly what to look for. Marcus had saved Robert Jameson's life. But here's where the story gets really interesting. The media went crazy. Homeless teen saves billionaire's life. Street kid foils murder plot. Modern-day hero living under a bridge. Marcus's face was everywhere. And for the first time in 2 years, people weren't looking through him. They were looking at him. The arrested executives confessed to everything. They'd planned to take control of Jameson Industries, then dismantle the charitable foundations that Robert Jameson had built over 30 years. Foundations that provided free medical care, education, and housing to low-income communities. They would have made millions, and thousands of people would have suffered, all because of greed. 3 days after the incident, Robert Jameson showed up at the library where Marcus spent his days. "Can we talk?" he asked. They sat in a quiet corner. Mr. Peterson, the librarian, pretended not to watch, but Marcus saw him smiling. "Marcus, I want to make you an offer." "Sir, I don't want money. I just did what was right." "I know. That's exactly why I'm making this offer." Jameson pulled out a folder. "I've been looking into your background. Your grandmother was Margaret Cole, one of the finest nurses this city ever had." Marcus's eyes burned. He hadn't heard anyone speak his grandmother's name with respect in so long. "She taught you well. The police told me you've been helping homeless people with medical issues for months, diagnosing problems, preventing medication errors. You saved Miss Jenny's life 3 weeks ago." "How did you?" "I asked around. People talk about you, Marcus. They call you the kid who knows. And I want to help you use that gift properly." Jameson opened the folder. "Full scholarship to the University of Pittsburgh. Pre-med program. Room and board included. A stipend for living expenses. And after you graduate, if you want it, a position at Jameson Industries Medical Research Division." Marcus couldn't breathe. "Sir, I can't accept that." "Why not?" "Because I don't deserve it. I'm nobody. I'm just—" "You're the young man who risked everything to save a stranger's life," Jameson said firmly. You're the kid who's been giving back to his community even when he had nothing to give. You're exactly the kind of person who deserves this opportunity." Tears were rolling down Marcus's face now. He couldn't stop them. "My grandmother used to say that people need help at their worst moments. That's when you find out who you really are." "She was right," Jameson said. "And you, Marcus Cole, are someone special." Here's what nobody expected. When the news spread about Robert Jameson's offer, something beautiful happened. Other successful people started reaching out, not to Marcus, to other homeless people they'd ignored for years. A tech CEO found a homeless man who'd been a computer programmer before mental illness destroyed his life, gave him treatment, support, and eventually a job. A restaurant owner discovered a homeless woman who'd been a chef. Now she runs one of the city's most successful food trucks, and she hires other homeless people. A construction company started a program specifically for homeless veterans. Training, jobs, housing. Marcus's one act of courage started a ripple effect, but he stayed humble through it all. On his first day at the University of Pittsburgh, Marcus showed up early. He walked through campus in his new clothes, carrying his new backpack, feeling like an imposter. "Marcus Cole?" He turned to see a young woman his age. She was holding a newspaper with his photo on the front page. "That's me. I'm Sarah. I'm pre-med, too." She smiled. "I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "I was homeless last year, living in my car with my mom after my dad left. When I saw your story, when I saw what you did, it gave me hope. That we're not invisible. That we matter." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "We do matter." "Because of you, my mom applied for housing assistance. We have an apartment now. She got a job. And I got financial aid for school." Sarah's eyes were bright. "You changed my life without even knowing it." That's when Marcus realized something important. Saving Robert Jameson's life was just the beginning. The real impact was in showing the world that homeless people aren't invisible. They're human beings with gifts, talents, and worth. Marcus Cole is now 21 years old. He's top of his class at the University of Pittsburgh Medical School. He volunteers at free clinics every weekend, and he started a non-profit called Street Doctors that trains homeless individuals with medical knowledge to help their communities. Robert Jameson didn't just give Marcus a scholarship. He became his mentor, his friend. The father figure, Marcus, had been missing since his own dad left. But the most important thing Marcus did, he went back. Every month, Marcus returns to that underpass where he used to sleep. He brings food, medical supplies, and hope. "Hey, Marcus!" Miss Jenny calls out. She's doing well now. Found housing, managing her health, living instead of just surviving. "How's everyone doing?" A young kid, maybe 14, raises his hand shyly. "I have a question about infections." Marcus sits down on the cold concrete, right there with them. Because he remembers what it's like to be invisible, to be ignored, to wonder if anyone cares. "Let me take a look," he says gently. The local news did a follow-up story 5 years after the incident. They asked Marcus what he'd learned from everything. His answer was simple. "I learned that one moment of courage can change everything. Not just for you, but for everyone watching. We're all connected. And sometimes the person everyone ignores is the one who saves the day." Now let me ask you something. How many people do you walk past every day without really seeing them? How many Marcus Coles are out there right now, with gifts and talents the world needs, but nobody's paying attention? Here's the truth. Homeless people aren't statistics. They're not problems to solve. They're human beings who've hit hard times, and many of them have something valuable to offer. Marcus could have walked away that day. He could have minded his business, stayed invisible, stayed safe. But he chose to speak up, even knowing he might get arrested, even knowing people might not believe him, because some things are more important than safety. Robert Jameson could have dismissed Marcus, could have let security throw him out, could have assumed this homeless kid was lying or crazy. But he chose to listen, to really see the person in front of him, not just the circumstances. And that choice saved his life. This isn't just Marcus's story. It's a challenge to every single one of us. The next time you see someone homeless, don't look away. Maybe you can't offer a scholarship or a job, but you can offer dignity, respect, recognition that they exist. Buy them a meal, ask their name, listen to their story. You never know. That person you're ignoring might be the one who saves your life someday. Marcus Cole proved that circumstances don't define worth. That knowledge and courage can come from anywhere. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear worn-out shoes and jackets 2 sizes too small. So here's my question for you. What would you have done? Would you have spoken up, knowing you might face consequences? Would you have listened to a homeless teenager claiming someone's life was in danger? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button. Because we need more stories like this. Stories that remind us we're all human. We all matter. And we all have the power to change lives. The billionaire gave Marcus a future. But Marcus gave the billionaire something even more valuable. His life. Sometimes the richest person in the room is the one with nothing but courage. Subscribe for more stories that prove every voice matters, every person counts. And sometimes the kid from the street sees what everyone else missed. Because in the end, we're all just one moment away from needing help. Or from being the help someone desperately needs. Which one will you be? Share this story. Let it remind people that heroes come from unexpected places. That the homeless doesn't mean hopeless. That one act of courage can start a revolution. Marcus Cole shouted, "It's poison!" when everyone told him to be quiet. Thank God he didn't listen. What will you do when it's your turn to speak up? The world is watching.